Fair warning, watching this video might require you to go up into the depths of your attic or basement or garage to find that old Aerogarden that you've got lying around. I feel like 5 years ago, this was the go-to gift for anyone that was even remotely garden inclined. I feel like I saw these things on every Christmas gift idea in 2019, 2020. And I might be outing myself for being completely behind the times. I didn't realize that Aerogarden came out with the seed starting kit to go with this. And this is really interesting to me because one of the things that I love doing is growing a fall garden. But one of the things that I hate doing is starting seeds for a fall garden. So let's test this out together. For whatever reason, seed starting in the winter hits completely differently than seed starting in the summer. In the winter, I am craving seeing those little green leaves. And anytime anything sprouts, it excites me and I love babying it and I love visiting and I love caring for them. But in the summertime, all of that just seems to annoy and irritate me because I'm tired and maybe you're the same way, but once the temperatures get to a certain point and the disease and pest pressure and what they've done to the garden really make me consider picking up indoor hobbies instead. So it's like, why don't I love crocheting? Why am I doing this to myself? That's also about the right time that you're supposed to be wanting to start more seeds so you can continue the lovely garden experience into the fall. I will say that fall gardening is one of my favorite seasons because one, the temperatures aren't as extreme, and two, fall crops are just awesome. I love growing broccolis and spinach and the cool weather crops. So your herbs like cilantro and parsley, all of those things prefer the cooler weather. And so it's really great. And honestly, in Atlanta, I find our spring season gets cut fairly short before the temperatures start peaking into the 80s and kind of frying everything that likes that more cool ambient temperature. So here in Atlanta, the best way to garden is to garden in the fall and grow cold hardy things that can grow over the winter. And then that's when you harvest in the spring. But what I find is that I'm so burnt out over the season, I have zero desire to start seeds. So normally what I do this time of year is I will go and buy starts, which there's no shame in the gardening game if you also buy starts. I say whatever brings you garden joy is what you should do. But if you already have one of these babies collecting dust in your house and you can just buy a little kit insert like this for $30 and make your life all the more easier, I am going to try it out and let you know how I like it, how much work it is, and if I still feel the garden burnout after using this. Okay, so we're going to unbox this together. I haven't done that yet. Ugh. All right. Comes with these little sponges, which means I don't have to get my hands dirty and all the work is pretty much done for me. This is the insert. So let's count this up. 48? I don't know. Is that 48? This is great. It's a ton. I think this is going to be enough for me to just start one batch. I plan to grow the things that my family eats. And that's a win-win because if I'm growing things that my family doesn't eat, I get annoyed and they get annoyed and it's just a lose-lose. So the things that I like growing are things like spinach, bok choy, broccoli. Maybe I'll try cauliflower, but I've never ever successfully grown it here in Atlanta. Sugar snap peas and cilantro. We do a lot of cilantro. My kids love this green rice dish that uses up 3 bunches of cilantro at a time. So if I can grow my own, so much easier than having to make a separate trip out to the farmer's market to buy cheaper cilantro because somebody tell me why they are $1 a bunch these days. That's just not cool. And then I'm going to out myself. This is my seed box that is supposed to keep me organized. And I've got things in some kind of state of organization, but I rarely put anything back where it's supposed to go. Give me a second to figure out where the seeds are, what we're growing, and then we're going to get started. Every time I show the seed box, I have to answer the same questions. Yes, this was something that was custom made. No, it's not by somebody who is an Etsy seller or offers it for sale. Yes, it was made by my amazing husband. And no, it's very rarely ever organized. And instead, it's just a place that I shove seeds somewhat strategically. And then in the winter, I normally do a cleanup, but I just can't be bothered throughout the growing season. So those are the FAQs of my seed box. Okay, I love the pictures. Pictures are good. Remove this. Oh, I guess remove and unplug. Remove this. Add this. I like it. All right, good. Step 1, done. Blah, 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 blah. Fill with water to the fill to line. Stick the sponges in. Add 1 seed per packet. We can do that, right? I like it. Easy. Let's go.
We're currently all thinking the same thing, right? We're all thinking about how much do these refillable sponges cost? Is there a generic option for those sponges? And why do all the really cool products have something disposable that you have to keep buying? Also, while this product is super easy to get started and TBD on whether things grow well in it, how am I supposed to label them so that later I know what is growing in each cell? So I'm not going to use all of these cells, and I'm going to create little columns so that maybe I can try to identify it from like a map situation. But that's something that is very tricky because seedlings kind of all look the same for a little while.
Aerogarden team, if you are taking suggestions, I have one for you. I need plant taggy things for the seed starting or stickers or something that make it easy, because what I decided to do is not use the whole seed starting tray and plant things that look different next to each other so I'm able to differentiate, because broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, and cabbage, all of those leaves look pretty much the same until we're later down the line. Their seedlings are really hard to tell apart. So what I did was I interplanted with the pea and the cilantro because those seedlings look different. So I'll be able to tell kind of where things are based on that. But if I had an easy way to label, that'd be awesome. I'm going to add some water and I'll be right back.
And now it's time to seed the sponges. So the hole that the sponges have is nice and wide. It's really easy to plop in those seeds, and the fall seeds that I'm planting are all larger, so it's easy to just pick up 1 to 2 and place them directly into the hole. I think trying to seed smaller seeds like a foxglove or something really tiny like carrots even would be really difficult. To just get a few, I would probably overseed, and who knows what would happen after that and how easy it is to separate or to cut the extra seedlings. But for these larger seeds, it's perfect, but there is, an upper limit. So I did also test this pea seed, just curious to see kind of how it would fit in and if I would be able to push it down into the sponge. And as you can see, that was pretty much a giant fail. There is an upper limit to the seed size. I'll still, put it into the Aerogarden and see if it starts, and I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does. But if nothing germinates, I wouldn't totally be shocked.
I'll be honest, it's very weird not knowing the depth that the seeds are going in and not covering them with anything. But I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to bring this inside, plug it in, and I will check back in with you when I see signs of life and give you the full scoop.
Okay, just in case you were wondering, setting up indoors, even if you're technologically not savvy at all like me, was super easy. There was a quick start guide, there was a seed starting setting, and basically it just walked you through the directions if you had blah, blah, blah them earlier like I did. Here's a seedling update after just 2 days. The Romanesco broccoli and the cabbage is starting to come up. Yes, it does look a little bit pale. Yes, I was kind of worried about that, but you'll see they'll green up shortly. 3-day update, you can see things are starting to green up as they're exposed to light, and some of the kale is also germinating. Day 4 update, the only thing that I've done to this is thin out seedlings. And here's my final update that I'll share. You can see the cabbage is growing in really well. Everything that has started to sprout and is growing strong. It's not looking very leggy, which is one thing I was worried about. The peas did not germinate at all. Not great for larger seeds like pea seeds, but almost everything else grew in really well. There were some poor germinations, but also these seeds were really old. Like I'm talking 2020 seed packets, because I'm just a seed hoarder like that. Rapid fire pros and cons on this seed starting system. Definitely a big pro is that you can leave this unattended for a really long time and it doesn't seem to care. Typically when I start seeds indoors, I'm checking on the seedlings every day and watering them every day. I completely forgot about this and it's been fine for 10 days. So that is definitely a big pro. The con, you kind of saw the larger seed sizes, it doesn't seem to get good germination with, but that could have been a Michelle problem. Like maybe there was a way to push them down further and it would germinate just fine. Otherwise, if your seed packets aren't 4 years old, it does have really great germination. A con, and this is with any seed starting that you're gonna do indoors that you plan on taking outdoors and not growing in the Aerogarden long term, is that I'm going to have to pot these up and take them outside. So that's a con over just direct sowing in the garden. And transparently, another con, if you don't already have the Aerogarden, it isn't a cheap gadget, it's a more expensive gadget. But if you have one, then getting this $30 seed starting insert is really a no-brainer. I don't normally share product testy type reviews because I'm normally not one to buy a lot of gadgets, but honestly, this has been really nice this fall and I'm not going to have to go out and buy starts at all, so I can buy a couple of more perennials for the garden because girl math, right? I'll see you in the next video.